very smart, strong people that we can get it figured out. We got to look ahead. Look ahead at the board members a couple terms down the road. What are they going to face if we close these schools? And
Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's your time. Thank you.
Honey didn't make it in time, so stuff scratchers.
What?
Honey didn't make it in time, so I guess we'll have to scratch her.
Okay, she's next. Honey
Yes.
Glass, no.
Still getting off school.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item F, consent agenda.
I remember we approved the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to item G, unfinished business. We're going to discuss G1, district reconfiguration. Just kind of, before we do anything, I just kind of give a little reminder of what we're doing tonight. The boundary subcommittee was formed. They were tasked with coming up with a recommendation to the board to look at rate reconfiguration and boundaries and building utilization and all. So that's the culmination of where we're at right now. What's on the table is, do we continue, with that plan, or do we just end it? And with the recommendations put forth by the subcommittee, if I can get to them. Number one is to accept the recommendation from the boundary subcommittee and request staff to begin the work necessary to have a public hearing on such recommendation and closure of the named schools on November 18th, 2024. Or alternative number two, reject the recommendations from the boundary subcommittee and request staff to work with RSP to complete only the redrawing of boundary lines for the district. That's what's forward today, and that's what we're going to discuss. So with that being said, I'll open it up for discussion. Board members, anybody want to go?
I'll go, Randy.
Okay, thanks.
I think that, this process was kind of brought to the board. Boundary study, like Randy mentioned, was supposed to just be a boundary study. The committee chose to go to a reconfiguration. The board voted to go down that path. We've been working through those details, and like I said last meeting, I want to thank the committee members. There's some are present tonight, and then the subcommittee. I know you guys worked endless hours, and I know the administration worked endless hours to basically put a recommendation before the board. It's a really hard decision, probably for every one of us board members. There's pros and cons to each one. I mean, if we vote no tonight, obviously we're gonna keep the schools open. We've heard the voices of the people, and we're gonna work to redo our boundaries and stay doing it. We have a lot of positive things going in the district. If we vote yes, obviously the next 3 years are gonna be a lot of work. It's gonna be an extreme challenge to transition from a K4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 model to a K5, 6, 8, 9, 12 model. It's gonna be a tremendous amount of work for our staff. And to get set up to go that way, there's positives and negatives to both of it. We've heard a lot of comments from the community. We've got to see the character of individuals in our community. We've got to see, have some wholesome conversations with people and get their input and their ideas, and I appreciate every bit of that. You know, just from a board member standpoint, I've had conversations with people that I didn't know that well. And through this process, I've gotten to know them better and gotten to hear their heart on the issue. Like I say, it's an extremely tough decision because there are positives and negatives to both sides. So, you know, I appreciate all the work that was done and put into the process. Either way, whether it's voted for or voted against, I think that the public has been engaged, which I think is great. I think the public has been educated on the fact that at some point down the road, Garden City School District is going to have to make a change of some kind to set ourselves up for the future. A lot of our buildings are getting old. We're going to have to do something with those buildings at some point. So hopefully it starts the conversation one way or the other of making a long-term plan as we develop north and east. I'll be the first board member. You know, there's been a lot of people say, well, you're going to shut the schools and then you're going to ask for a bond. I'll be the first board member to tell you yes. If the 3 schools do shut in 10 years, the high school is going to be paid for. I'm absolutely, if I was a board member, I would ask for a bond. For Garden City to continue to grow, for Garden City to continue to be attractive. We're going to have a new development, continue to grow. We need new schools in that area. When people come to town and look at our community, you know, they need to see new schools. They need to see us investing in our schools, and they need to see that, you know, so like I say, either way, I think it's been great. It's going to be a tough decision, but I think it has made a lot of people aware that in the future, there is going to have to be something done with buildings that were, you know, built in the 50s. I don't know how sustainable that is long-term. You know, if it ain't today, maybe 10 years down the road, maybe 15, at some point, something's going to have to be done to update our school system for the future.
Thank you. Next. Yeah. Just want to go in order. No, are you good?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank everybody that put so much time in. It was, I don't know how many weeks and how many hours everybody met. But whatever we decide, we all know that we all may disagree, but we all still respect each other and our opinions. And that's something that needs to be known, that just because one of us may vote different than another, that does not mean we have any less respect for each other.
Yeah, I mean, the discussion that we're really looking at is all revolved around greater reconfiguration. And that's specifically what the subcommittee was tasked to do after the what started as a boundary committee, ultimately resulted in a recommendation to take our school district to K568. So I want to thank Robin and Nathan and all of our administrative staff for all the hours that were put towards this plan. As you can see, just by the amount of information and all that has gone into it and the detail, to do something like great reconfiguration is a big task, and it affects every building in our district, essentially, except for our high school and our early education center. There's a lot of layers to it, and the process isn't over yet. If we choose as a board to proceed tonight, we're taking that final step of asking our administration to redraw boundaries accordingly and to prepare us for a public hearing related to closure of the three elementary schools that are part of the plan. If the district ever, you know, I mean, the thing that really is most significant in the catalyst for all this is the result of changing our early education or intermediate centers to elementary schools and the capacity that brings into our district. And then also the bottleneck that we create at the middle schools. I mean, that's why the intermediate centers were originally built to deal with overcapacity at the middle schools to begin with. So essentially to go K568, we're unwinding that and we're restructuring to do that moving forward. So I think I know I appreciate the feedback we've gotten from the community. Gotten had a lot of phone conversations with folks, a lot of discussions, a lot of really good points brought up. Been getting a lot of feedback both against the school closures and a lot of feedback in support of the plan overall. So just appreciate the effort we got from everybody involved to get us to this point.
I have some comments I want to make later at the end of the meeting on this subject, but right now I'll just say that, again, I echo what they say. This was a lot of work, not always fun work. So thank you to everyone who worked on it, and that as a board, we will be united. So no matter what the vote is, we will support the decision that's made at the end of the vote. You're next.
Yeah, this has been first of all, I guess I want to thank Andy, Robin, and Nathan, the administration. Early on, I think we had community members involved in this boundary study. I want to thank everybody for the work they put in on this. I know it's not been easy. I know they spent a lot of time on it. Regardless of which way this goes, I will be supportive of it. I think we have 7 individuals on this board who do have one thing in mind: to do the best that we can to the students in Garden City, USD-457, get an education that prepares them for the world after high school, whether that be straight to the job market, into a tech school, into a community college, or whether it be a 4-year degree somewhere in school. That I think we have in common for sure. And I also think that regardless of which way this goes, I do believe that this board, all 7 members, will be supportive of the direction we go. We will do our best to do whatever it is that's decided tonight.
Definitely appreciate all the input we have received. Had lots of emails and conversations back and forth. It's been a matter of prayer since we started this whole process clear back in the spring on where we would go and what we would do. And it's an interesting position because I know people in every one of the school buildings. I know teachers and families in those buildings, and it is an interesting burden to carry for us to make the right decision. But it is for every student in the school system, and to be able to go forward with that. It is a lot of stress on us as I've had sleepless nights, figuring out what do we do, what's the best. And as much as Andy and Robin and myself have spent, I think I figured over 50+ hours this summer outside of our work environments to come up with the plan that we presented to the board and where we go. And that burden is heavy because it does affect so much. We have thought a lot about this. We've spent a lot of time. We've had some debates and figuring out where we're going to go and where that would take us. And so it is exciting that we can go forward and get things moving forward instead of just stalling and putting anything up further out. It is my heart that we do what's best for this community long term, not just now, not just for one area, but for the long term. There's other comments I'll make later on, but it's an amazing burden to be a leader. And that comment was made at the last meeting of being a leader and what it means to be a leader and what it looks like to lead and to lead boldly. And it's something that I've spent a chunk of my professional life looking into and learning about and still growing in. But it is significant that I remind that leadership is doing the right thing for everyone involved. And that's taking in what's best for everyone. And so it's not always easy to take into account all the little details and everything, but we have to do what's the greater good for the entire community. And I remind us as we look forward to that, to do what is best for everyone in this community. And so whatever the decision is, though, we will support it. We'll come behind it. We're going to be there for each other. I'm excited to have met you all and learn more about the process and to see where we can go together. So.
Thank you. That's the hard question is, we all want to do what's best for the students and best for the district. Problem is we disagree what's best. That's us. We disagree. And so we ultimately have to make a decision. We've kicked this can down the road long enough. It's for years, not just now. It's been years. So it's our turn to either make a decision and move on or kick it down the road again, I don't know, but, that's where we're at. I do know that the committee worked extremely hard and I thank you guys for that. You worked a ton of hours and your paycheck hasn't come yet. It's in the mail. So I appreciate that. I do appreciate all the work that you guys have done so hard. That's all I have.
We need a motion one way or the other,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, someone want to make a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the recommendation of the Boundary Subcommittee and request that staff begin the work necessary to have a public hearing on such recommendation and closure of the named schools on November 18th, 2024.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to go forward with alternative number one, accepting the recommendations from the Boundary Subcommittee. Sorry, I'll open it up now for discussion. I have a few things I want to say. I really enjoy and I really respect the community's output and reaching out to me and talking with me. And I too have met a ton of people and I have heard a lot of ideas and different ideas and people willing to help. And I appreciate that and I respect that. I don't believe this is supported by the community. I've had, for every one person that's called me and told me how they think it's a good idea, I've had 100 call me that said it wasn't. So, I'm elected by the people and I have to do what I think is right by the people, whether I agree with it or not. I think it's a bad time right now with the new superintendent search getting underway. So if we continue this process, we're gonna put more burden on staff. We'll be down to superintendent, and right now we're down to a deputy superintendent position. So that's gonna put even more work on our administration to continue the process, redraw the boundaries, and set it for the public hearing. I do think we definitely have to redraw boundaries. That's what started all this. We're overloaded, some schools are short, some are stuffed to the gills, so that definitely needs to take place and it needs to happen, for sure. That's all I have.
Do you want me to read this now or do you want me to wait?
Is that your comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's your comments, yes.
You want me to?
You're
read
not a
it?
letter from like somebody
No,
else.
no,
Yes,
it's my comments.
yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, yes.
So I wrote this out. I was gonna read it at the end, I guess we'll go now. And I wrote it because last time I got a little emotional and I didn't really say everything I wanted to say, so we're gonna just read this time, bear with me. I just want to share a few thoughts on my vote tonight on the boundary reconfiguration. After spending the last 6 or 7 months working through this process, one thing is very clear to me. We have a community that cares about our children and wants the best for them. We may not always agree on how to get there, but every person I have spoken with is passionate about doing what is best for the kids. I'm going to take that as a positive from the hard work we have done. As I am writing this, I don't know what the final outcome will be, so I'm going to share my thoughts on what I would like to see in an ideal situation. There are many unknowns in the formulas and data we have went through. I have no doubt that the data is true and the formulas are correct. What I don't know is what the future brings. That makes making a decision this large a bit scary. I've had many hesitations through this process that I have shared with the committee I served on. The vast number of people involved make it extremely important to me that we do this in the best manner possible. I do believe changes need to be made and am supportive of parts of the plan presented. The K568 reconfiguration is something I am very supportive of. No matter what the outcome of tonight's vote, remember I'm writing this without prior knowledge, I would like to continue working towards that. Without closing schools, we are really left with only one option to do that, which would be a bond issue. I am willing to continue working on that goal with the help and input of a new superintendent. In my perfect world, we hire a new superintendent and we see what their thoughts and ideas are in reaching that goal. Sometimes goals are short-term and sometimes they are a bit longer. The time frame does not determine the value of the goal. I would hope that next year when our new leader is on board, we can continue talks on getting the grade configuration the public supports. I've had great concern that there is too much going on to complete everything in a concise, organized manner to implement this at the start of the 25 school year. There may be a time in the future where we do have to make hard decisions on closing schools, but at this time, I am willing to wait and see what the future of Garden City and Finney County looks like. I believe that if we work on these issues together, unified, we can solve many existing problems and come out as a stronger, better district. I would like to thank the committee for the time and effort put in by all. Even if we did not always agree, we always worked together well. I have learned so much in the past few months about school districts, population, hard work, and even myself. I am grateful to have served on a committee that did its best to solve difficult problems. I am looking forward to continuing my time on this board, and I hope the public can see we truly are a board that cares and want to make positive decisions for the district. Thank you to everyone who has participated and called and emailed with their thoughts. I've had some amazing discussions with many of you in the last few weeks. USD-457 is something to be proud of, and we will continue to serve our district as best we can.
Again, I'd like to thank Wendy, Nathan, Robin for the time and effort they put in this. I'd like to thank the administration for the time and effort and those folks. I think we had some teachers and community members involved in the beginning that were involved in putting time and effort. That really appreciate that. I've received emails, I've received phone calls, I've had discussions with folks who are against this proposal and who are for this proposal. I believe right now we need to focus our energy on a new superintendent. Yes, we could do both, but I really believe we need to do that. I believe we need to revisit the issues as soon as we get a new superintendent, shortly, as soon as we can get a new superintendent on. I did have a discussion today. Someone said, well, then you're going to want them to have a year to get their feet wet. I said, no, I don't think so. I think we need to revisit this as soon as possible with a new superintendent. I think they need to be involved in the discussions, involved in the whole process, and invested in it as well, and be supportive of whatever we make, the decision we make. Whatever that decision is that we make tonight as a board, I'll be supportive of it. I believe we need to move forward, and I believe the 7 folks on this board of directors, and I believe the administration will do that. I think we all have one goal in mind, and again, that is do the best that we can for the students in USD-457 so that they are prepared for the real world, no matter how crazy it may be sometimes. But I do believe that that's all our goal, and I've been solution to do that. And as we move forward here with whatever decision is made tonight, I will be supportive of that, and we'll move forward. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and, much like Robin talked about there was a lot of emotions with the last meeting, and got very frustrated by some things, and I do my own research. And I look at the numbers of things that were presented as we have over this whole time. So I too wrote up some words just because they are heavy on my heart, and I want to make sure I said everything I wanted to say. So I appreciate that, Robin. So I'm just going to read some thoughts that I had after I've done some of my own research and studied some of the things we've gotten. And so in an effort for complete transparency, I want to present some additional information to help the entire community understand the process that we're in right now. Particular data that came to us and has been spread out in the community. I want to just kind of draw some light on that. And so the data that stated that 85% of the community wanted to keep our country schools open is not 100% accurate. And that's from the data that they gave us. The letter to the board that we received was a reference to the data that was given to us. 85% that said was in favor of keeping the country schools open is taken from a survey that they sent out and text messages to 10,115 cell phones, 3,853 phone calls that were made. The survey received 739 responses. That was it. Of 14,000 connections in our community, 739 responses were received. So when I look at that, 85% of those, even if 85% of those were positive, it would be 628 responses came back that would be in favor of keeping the country schools open. And so I want to be clear as I look at this, and I did some math, and we've heard from other groups that our community is roughly between 30 and 40,000 people in our community. And so if you look at those numbers, they don't seem to add up to me. And I'm just very much looking at the truth here. And so if we look at that percentage wise, it actually is 2.9% of our overall population that those numbers add up to, at least in my math when I did that. And so I've been going to count even that one individual told me that they did the survey over 5 times as well. And so I thought it was just something to be considering and looking at that, what that possibility could be. And so it does cause me to question the validity of the survey and the data that we've been presented. Again, I wanted to do my own survey or my own question looking at the data. And so there's other things that happened. And so I was just very disheartened when I saw that. And I did my own math when I looked into it because I really wanted to prove it right. And instead I proved it wrong. And so there's other comments made about the original survey about saying smaller class sizes, and the further letter is actually smaller schools. We actually want smaller class sizes for all of our students in the community. And what we're doing is working towards that and making that a possibility for all of our students. So I was saddened also as I heard community members last time speaking against the recruitment process. And I want to speak personally on our highly qualified Filipino teachers that have come into our school district. I know that was kind of pointed out last time with some things. It just really burdens my heart that here I've had the chance to be on the front end of helping them move into a community and a culture where they are leaving their entire world behind and literally coming into this community with 3 suitcases and nothing else. And some of them even had to leave their kids, their own family behind to come here and teach for us. And so I just want to point that out because I am a person who wants to be all inclusive of our community and love everyone that's here in our community. And I want to make sure that we just look at all the aspects of that and what we're doing as a part of that. I love being here as a part of this district, and I do believe that we're doing a great job at reaching everybody. And part of this process will help us move forward with that in certain areas. And so I've learned that this community has a rich history of welcoming other people from different cultures, and I hope it continues to do so. And I want to be a part of a community that does that, welcomes everyone, whether rural or urban or wherever they're from. Everybody is a part of this community and makes it who we are. So I implore each and every one of us to have our minds open to something greater than the challenges that we have before us and the things that we have going for us. So I see the potential of every children. And I guess I've been almost burdened with the essence of eternal optimism. I can see a pen and think it can be great things. You know, I can write the signature or signing a loan or something great and greater things happening. And so that's just who it is. And as I have looked and tried to teach my own children to be a model and a leader and look for the optimistic parts of the different areas in our community. I love that we have a program called Leader in Me, and it is working in our community. It's not just one school, but every school. It's being functional, it's being effective, and it's reaching. And so as we as a community and as we as leaders in the community, I think we need to make sure we're modeling leadership, what that means for every student in our community. And so I want to make sure that we look forward to that and we see those things going forward. I think every one of these kids is amazing, smart, and they have the opportunities, and we want to present the opportunities to everybody to do the right thing and keeping everything moving forward and to be a positive force in the world instead of a divisive one. And so I want to make sure we model that as a leadership team. And I thank you for just hearing me out on this because I know that we can do that and we want that for every one of our students. And so, you know, it was mentioned last time, President Eisenhower and his homegrown effort. And I remembered it made me reflect back to going up to the museum. I took my kids there so they could learn about Kansas. And I thought about what it means to be a leader. And I think about all the tough decisions he had to make in his presidency of moving forward. He led the invasion of Normandy there, and he organized that. And what that meant, knowing that there would be loss of life. We're not at that point, okay? But he made those tough decisions to move the country forward and what was best for the country. And I think we need to make sure we think about that and help it to lead our community forward in that way. And so that's my heart with that one. It also made me very frustrated at some comments that were made last time as we go forward with whatever decision we make tonight, the threats of litigation against us. And I do want the community and all of us to know that every time that happens, everything that would come about, those are taxpayer dollars going to resolve that. And so it's just something that I want people to be aware of, that I want to make sure every dollar that comes into the school district that we're responsible for goes to the education of these children and not to other things as well. And so as we think about it, I just want to make sure we do everything we can for the best of every one of our kids. And so it does come to a point of trust. And I know in our community, there's been a lot of distrust in our world. There's a lot of distrust, but I have to stand before God, my creator, on every decision that I make, every comment that I make, every word that I speak. And I take that very seriously, especially in my professional life. And so I don't make comments flippantly, and I want to make sure that I'm doing exactly what I'm asked to do and with what God has entrusted me to do. And so I know that we've been entrusted to be here, and I know Andy and Robin and I, we've looked at these comments from every angle. We've listened to I've read every email, looked at the comments and analyzed them. And I appreciate the time that we've had looking at the voices, hearing the voices, researching all the answers, and coming up, even hearing other proposals. Even as of this morning, I got an email about another proposal, and we had already looked at all those answers. They're just not, them are not made public because we couldn't air 70 or 50 plus hours of public comment or public time that we could do. And so we have to make sure that we have, and I want the community to know that we have researched, we've heard your voices, we've looked at things, and we've checked in every aspect of it. And so I do ask, whatever decision is made, that we come together as a community for what's better. And so, community, I want to ask you to, if you elected us to lead, this is what we're doing, and whatever decision comes out tonight. And we won't have selfish motives into what's going forward and what we're doing. And I do what's best for the long term in this community. But everyone has to give a little. We always have to give a little. We're giving our time, our family time and everything else to be here to do what's best for the community. And so I just want us to keep moving forward with what's best for this community. So those are my thoughts.
I'll go next. So I believe that becoming a K-568 school district is the right future for our students. I've heard very few people say anything different than that. The difficult thing is, how do we do it? It's always been a difficult decision. I've lived in Garden City for about a little over 10 years, and I've heard that since the first time I was here, that the intermediate centers were not the right model for us, and that it's been talked about for a very long time. It's been recommended to this board twice in the last 6 years to become a K-568 school district, but it's not going to be an easy task because it's a big undertaking. I believe in this plan that this committee's put forth. I think it accommodates growth. We've been very mindful and cognizant of future growth in the city. We've had multiple meetings with any kind of economic development, discussed future development and what that could mean. And we've really crunched numbers and made sure that these numbers and these that we're creating and the capacity we're creating at the elementary school and the middle school accommodates that. This model actually provides more capacity at the elementary school level than we currently have. This plan creates smaller class sizes. It's an added value to our students and our faculty. This plan reduces number of students per classroom, max class sizes for the K-5 level by 2 students per grade per class. This plan we've talked about allows for us to be able, creates an opportunity for us to be able to expand the behavior program that we currently know serves a very important part of our student population. I think this plan focuses on success for all 7,000 of our students. It is a plan that some people are unhappy with, understandably so. But I believe that this plan is one that is mindful of the success of all 7,000 of our students. I believe we have a very dedicated, I know we have a very dedicated admin team. As Nathan said, we've been in probably 50 some odd hours of meetings with these folks, and they've had many hours outside of that going and collecting more data and bringing it to us so that we can continue those meetings. I don't believe that this process will distract us from finding a quality superintendent. At this point in the plan, really the work is by the admin team to design or to come up with new boundaries and start determining the next level of decisions, as many people have done. But we as a board, I think making this decision tonight does allow us to turn our attention to a superintendent search. I also don't believe that the timing of this would shy away the kind of quality superintendent we're searching for. I don't think that this being in process over the next, between now and the start of next school year would deter a candidate of the caliber that we're looking for. I just want to thank the board for being willing to take this topic up. I mean, we've all got a lot of pushback and heat from the community for it. We've also got a lot of support and encouragement from the community. But it does take a dedicated, hardworking group of individuals to want to even put this on the table and talk about it. And I applaud you guys for that. And I echo all the comments that I've heard tonight about, regardless of how this vote goes, I have confidence that we're gonna move forward as a cohesive board. One of the comments that was made to me is as a board member, our job is to be well informed and vote your conscience. I believe that all of us have done that. I believe all of you, have done that, and so regardless of what we decide tonight, I just thank you guys, you board members, for all of your willingness to really bring this issue to topic and just get to vote on it.
Yes. Any more discussion? Okay, no more discussion. It's been recommended and seconded to accept the recommendation from the Boundary Subcommittee. All in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same. Motion fails.
Mr. President, I move that we reject the recommendation from the Boundary Subcommittee and request staff to work with RSP to complete only the redrawing of boundary lines for the district.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move with alternative number 2. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Any other discussion? Only thing I would add to that is maybe I'm good. I have nothing else. Any other discussion? All in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Move on to item H, new business. Item H1. Ruto.
I'm not sure Brandon has actually been introduced formally to you guys at a board meeting, so I'm gonna first start by formally introducing our new Director of Plant Facilities, Brandon Anderson. Brandon comes to us as the former city manager of Great Bend. Brandon, luckily, we've got some people in the community that are close to Brandon's heart, and we're able to drag him out this way for this position. And we're very fortunate to be able to have somebody with Brandon's experience and background leading our plant facilities after Shane left. What we have in front of you tonight is the Abe Hubert HVAC proposal. To start the conversation on it, we'll just kind of talk about the history of the HVAC proposals at Abe Hubert. Back in 2022, we did VRF systems on the 5 sister schools. The process started, I believe, actually in 21, wrapped up in November of 2022. And as those wrapped up, the next project that was on the list to do was Abe Hubert Elementary School. we put Abe Hubert Elementary School out to bid with a VRF system, thinking that, knowing the prices of what we just did at the Five Sister Schools, thinking it would be somewhere comparable to a Charles Stone's or Bernadine Sits at 1.8 million. In 2020, in last fall of 2023, you guys got bids back on a VRF system at Abe Hubert. When those bids came back, the only one bid was presented. That bid got pulled, so we don't know exactly how much a VRF system at Abe Hubert Middle School would have been. We communicated with ICE, our engineers, talked to them, and tried to come up with a solution and find a way that more people would be involved in the bid process. As we had those discussions, one of the options that came up, presented to us by ICE, is possibly looking at a 4-pipe system. Currently, and you guys delve deep into it, currently we have a 2-pipe system. So they went back, did the drawings. We got a 4-pipe system designed. We already had a VRF system designed. We put both systems out to bid, thinking as we put these systems out to bid, when we get these back, we'll have one option that we can move to that will be an option that is available inside of our budget. We put the bids out. We did the tours with all of the contractors. We had about 8 contractors show up to look at the school to do the specs on the bids. When we came back, we only got one bid back for the VRF system and the 4-pipe system. As those bids came back, the VRF system came in at about $3.2 million, and the 4-pipe system came back at about just over $5 million. That 4-pipe system, we knew when we bid it out that it would have a government rebate connected to that, anywhere in the range of 30 to 40%, but nothing necessarily guaranteed. So we got those bids back by one contractor. Because it was only one contractor, we tried, and mainly Brandon, working with our engineers and working with Gibson, Mancini, Carmichael, and Nelson, tried to figure out what is going on at Abe Hubert. Why are things coming back 2 and 3 times more expensive than they are at all of our other schools? How is this happening? We communicated with them. We tried to find out where can we cut some price, cut some things to get this inside of our budget. Ultimately, we couldn't find a way to get it inside of our budget. And that's why in front of you today, we're giving you 3 options. You can approve a 4-pipe system, you can approve a VRF system, or you can do what we recommend and reject all the bids altogether, and we move on down the road. Brandon, I'm going to let you kind of talk a little bit about the specifics of it.
So with just receiving one bid, it really makes it difficult because we really don't know what the aberration is at Abe Hubert. Bid out twice, only received one bid both times. At this point, and like Drew said, the other VRF systems we put in the sister schools were about $40 a square foot. This one's coming back at 70, and we're still scratching our head internally trying to figure out what is the difference in this system versus the other one. So where we are right now, and the recommendation we're making is that we do reject this bid and kind of go back to the drawing board, look at some alternatives at Abe Hubert. We know that system needs to be done. It's an older system, and we're spending money maintaining it currently. But to overpay for something like that as well, it is not something that I think we should get in the practice of. And certainly the steps moving forward, I think we need to go ahead and move to another system, maybe on another building, and put out for bids. Our hope is that this is just an aberration and it's not going to be become common, not only getting one contractor to bid and it being an elevated price, but obviously over the last couple of years, with prices going up and down, or mainly up from COVID, this is the second bid process for Abe Hubert. So we don't know what's going to happen. We are back to the drawing board. We're going to look at some things at Abe Hubert. We're going to do some water tests. We're going to pressure test the piping in the current system to see if we could go back with a similar system that's there. We're also checking into a VRF unit that may set into the current units that are there and possibly retrofit a system into this. But we need to go back to the drawing board. Obviously, that would require another set of specs being drawn up and another bid being put out. But at this time, our recommendation is that we reject this bid.
We wanted to just get up in front of you. Normally, something like this may go on consent agenda just for consent agenda to reject the bid. But because of the magnitude of the system, because of the process and the 2-year time frame and everything that's gone along with it, we wanted to get up in front of you guys and have this discussion and be able to answer any questions that you guys may have on the process.
What are the alternatives? I mean, do we have to figure that out still, or?
So alternative one, we can pay 5 point whatever million.
No, I mean, if we reject this bid,
Yeah.
what are the alternatives?
So, excuse me, we do believe that we can get some more life out of our current system, out of our 4-pipe system. A 4-pipe system, and I think you guys have probably been made well aware over the many meetings on it, but a 2-pipe system, you're either on heat or on cold. It's one or the other. Your classrooms are either in cool mode or they're in warm mode. And that's not ideal for classrooms today. Back when we went to school, that was commonplace. That's just the way it was. Nowadays with VRF systems, it's more like your home air conditioning and heater, where one classroom may have the heater on, one classroom may have the air conditioner on. That's what has become more commonplace in classrooms. We do understand with the current 2-pipe system, it is not going to be ideal, but we think we can get a couple of years out of it to figure out a better solution to tackling the issue of HVAC at AP Hubert.
Basically what I want.
You ready for a motion?
Yes,
I'll make the motion to reject the bid at this time.
I'll second that.
it's been moved and seconded to reject the bids as proposed. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to item I, next board meeting. The next meeting of the Board of Education will take place October 7th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the board meeting room here at the Educational Support Center, 1205 Fulton.
I move adjourned.
Thank you. I was waiting for someone. You second, John? It's been motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your left hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Board members, something, I do have a few documents from Ray and Associates that if you want them now, I can get them to you now to put into your binder so you can start thinking about that. I'll grab those before you guys leave.
Are you sure?